We are going. Welcome to episode 3 of At the Apex, guys. Chat's here, and I have questions that were asked in the Discord. This was more of a general idea of what we're going to talk about. I just wanted to get questions from the Discord and the community on stuff I wanted to talk about. But before we get into that, I mean, a lot of stuff's about to change in Apex right now, coming up. We have... I mean, what? The Mastiffs, it's finally getting nerfed. They're finally nerfing that godforsaken weapon. And honestly, I could not be happier that it's getting nerfed. All of you guys know that I absolutely hate the Mastiff. And I think that it was so undoubtedly toxic for the game. And I'm really glad they're finally nerfing it. Caustic's getting killed. They have made a lot of changes to Caustic based off of how he was performing at the time. And I think that a lot of the changes they made for him were really unhealthy. You know, now he's going to only do 5 damage per tick. But I was rewatching a lot of my old videos and just seeing how different everything was back in the day compared to now is... It's not healthy how they're changing him, because they changed him at the time to fit how he worked then, and now they're trying to change it back. But he's kind of screwed now. Like, the traps get shot out in 1 bullet. That used to not happen. So, like, I don't know. I just feel like it's a mish. Like, they need to redesign Caustic, I think. I've seen a lot of things, people talking about make his ultimate do the ult damage. So if you get hit with the ult, it does higher and higher damage, and then make the traps only 5 tick. I think that's perfect. I actually think that makes sense. Because then, if your ult, you only get it every 3.5 minutes, it really incentivizes you to throw a good ultimate, you know? Because now, the ultimates, they've always been exactly the same as the gas traps. And I think that was kind of the issue, right? So, I'm hoping they redesign Caustic soon, because as far as I'm concerned, you know, on Olympus, he's already bad anyway. He's just not good for Olympus. And now they've made him even worse, so we're not going to see Caustics really at all. I think I think it's Giggle Autumn. I think I saw her tweet something about if she's the only Caustic in a game on Olympus, would it be strong for her? Like, would it help her out? But I don't think so, because I think the end zones on Olympus a lot of times are kind of in the open. So, I just feel like you'd be hard-pressed to have a successful game with Caustic on Olympus, even the way he works now. So, Caustic's kind of getting slumped over, dude. I don't know. I've talked about it a good amount. I don't think that he's going to be that great from now on. And I think it's time to go on to greener pastures anyway and start playing Rampart or something. Playing a bit of a weaker legend. Go back to my roots. Watson's buff is dope. I really like how her shields are going to constantly recharge now. That's really cool. Because a lot of people are playing Octane. So you could use that, you know, with a Watson Octane. You could use that, I think, in a way of, like, if the Octane has low shields, you know, you could give the shields to the Watson, and then the Octane would be getting his health back, and then the Watson would be recharging shields. Especially in ranked, there's a lot of sitting around waiting. So you could be swapping armor with your Watson and just not have to use any of your items to heal, and just let the Watson heal up the armor. I think that could be useful. And Watson needs some love, because they put her in the game. She was a powerhouse. She was really good. And then they just nerfed the hell out of her and kind of haven't done anything with her since then. And it's been pretty sad, you know? I always liked playing against Watsons, and I liked when Watson was meta, because she made the game about gun skill. I do want to say, I got a comment recently on a video. It was a thought out comment. I don't have anything against it, but the person said that they think that Caustic's gas damage was too high because people had to shoot people with or they had to, normally you had to shoot people in Apex. It's all about gunplay. But now Caustic's gas damage would just kill whole squads. And while that's kind of true, it's not really all the way true. Most of the time now, even with the gas, it just incentivizes you to get out of it more. So you would still shoot people. And all these other legends are ability based at this point. That their guns don't matter as much. Or they just enable you to get kills super easily. You know, like Horizon, for example. So I kind of just feel like all of the legend abilities kind of need to get a nerf across the board to not be so powerful. Because the abilities are really just... And you can even tell when Revenant silences you, think about how screwed you are. It's such a long silence, too. It's way too long, in my opinion. But, you know... When you don't have your abilities most of the time, you're not having a good time. And most of the time, it's not that big of a deal. But now it is, because all the Legends people are playing are so oriented around their abilities. And that used to not be the case. I feel like they should limit the range you could have thrown his gas nade and made the TPS go from 1.0 to 0.9. See, I don't know, man. Like, I just think that the way Caustic played in, like, Season 3 and 4, I feel like that was fine. They just needed to raise his gas damage just a bit, and he would have been in a perfect spot. But now they've made him too easy to play, and he's just kind of in a... He's just in a rut. Like, they don't know what to do with him, and it's very clear that they don't know what to do with him. They've even said that. They even said they don't know what to do with him. The devs who are in charge of Caustic could talk to me for an hour, and I guarantee you I could help them figure out what they need to do to make him fair, hard to play, and balanced, and not so annoying to go against. Because I liked him better when he was in a spot where you only ran him if you knew what you were doing, you know? Like, I liked it when people told me, oh, Bax, you know, you're a really good Caustic. There aren't a lot of good Caustics. Most Caustics don't know what they're doing. Now it's just like, it doesn't matter if you know what you're doing or not. You just play Caustic and you'll be fine. And I don't think that that's healthy for the character. But I want to get into the questions you guys asked in the Discord right now. Because some of them were pretty good questions. So we're actually starting with the question that that Forcing asked, which was, what makes a good legend? The question is, what makes a good legend? And I've actually talked about this quite a bit since I first started discussing things with people. Really, since my original video on Caustic 2 years ago that I've deleted, unfortunately. I wish I hadn't. On why Caustic was the worst legend. It was one of the first things I ever spoke about. And I've always said this. The thing that makes a best legend, or a legend good, is the combat viability. I think that was the word I used to use back in the day. It's the combat viability of a legend. Or it was like something about combat. How well it performs in fights in combat. That is how you see a better legend or a worse legend now. And that's how you see people are running them. I mean, who are we seeing a lot? Bloodhound, Horizon, Gibraltar, Caustic. They're all being used a lot because in the middle of combat, and what did we used to see back when this question was asked to me all the time? Wraith, Pathfinder. You know, not as much anymore because of some of the changes that happened to them, but they're in the middle of combat, very active legends. They're doing something actively in combat. A good Caustic will do more than a bad Caustic, but, you know, Wraith used to be able to queue out. Pathfinder would queue out. And that is how you had a good legend. Bangalore even was, like, middle tier back then. And her combat viability was high because she had smokes to block sight. Not people didn't play Bloodhound a lot back then. So, Bangalore could, you know, block off sight with her gas unless you had a digi. But she also just had speed on her side. When she got shot at, her passive would kick on. Same with Octane. You know, he's just running fast. It's very simple. But in the middle of combat, he's harder to hit because he's moving quicker. He can move from place to place faster. So he has high combat viability. And so it makes him it makes him a good legend. You know, Revenant now with the totems, you know, if you're using him correctly, you have high combat viability because you're literally getting in, fighting a team for free. When you get out of it, all you can lose potentially in a Rev totem, if you do it correctly, which is not hard to do, you will only lose half of your HP when you get back to the totem and positioning. But if you have a jump pad, you're absolutely chilling. So what makes a good legend, on top of that too, somewhat the hitbox. It used to be a lot bigger of an issue because there wasn't fortification when I used to talk about this, and obviously now there is fortification, there's low profile. So that's something to be taken into consideration, but it's not the worst thing ever. Same thing with Jibby. Jibby's got a gun shield, he's got a bubble, even his ultimate. It's all around, it's all centered around combat viability. I'm not going to go through every single legend and explain why, but if you think about it the way I said it, you know, it's just combat viability, how well they perform in fights while getting third-partied. That is what makes a legend better or worse than another. Because, you know, why is Rampart so weak in most people's eyes and just in general? Well, because her combat viability isn't as high. It takes a lot of pre-planning with Rampart to do a lot of stuff. So when you're trying to fight people in the middle of an area, you know, you're trying to get set up. Well, they can shoot out your walls. You know, there's a lot of stuff that they can do in the middle of a fight. Watson's generator, you know, it blows up now after a time, so you can't camp as hard. Her Q is kind of underwhelming, like running through the fences. You almost never, I don't ever run through fences on accident. It just keeps you out. But her fences were more of just like a don't try to come in right now, we have things set up. But it wasn't a deadly thing like Caustic Gas. You could just tank it if you really needed to go fight somebody. It wasn't a big deal. So what I would say is what makes a good legend is combat viability. Like, that's how I'd answer it. And if you think of it in the same way I just did, and you think of any legend, that's how, you know, that's how it comes out. It's the combat viability of a legend. Host God Sir Dom asked, what makes a fun legend? Well, a fun legend, that's subjective. That's a lot more subjective, right? Because someone could have, I had fun on Caustic for a long time and he was terrible, and, you know, then I didn't have fun on him anymore once he got buffed. So it just comes down to opinion. But I could say some things that might be more concrete if you just look at data of who plays who, and if you looked at the data of what legends are picked most or have the highest win rate, which is all Respawn does, apparently. But if you look at it in that vein, you saw the smaller legends that were a little bit easier, and the legends that had higher combat viability most of the time were actually the ones that people saw as more fun. You know, Octane right now, I would argue, is a really fun legend because he's really fast-paced. He gets you in where you need to go. And Apex, at its core, is a fast-paced game. So playing legends that are fast-paced, some people like that a lot. Some people like camping up more. It's very subjective. But, you know, Wraith, a lot of people... I actually know a lot of people who only played Wraith until recently. And maybe they swapped to Horizon or they haven't played anymore. You know, Reap even, he's just bored of Apex because he doesn't really find Wraith that fun anymore. And Wraith was the only legend he really had any fun on while he was playing. Which is understandable, you know. Again, it's to each their own. So that this is more of a... Knowing what a good legend is definitely a little bit easier than what's fun. Because anyone can think something's fun. Even if it's bad, you could have fun on it. But if a legend is good or not, there's a lot more straight up data that shows whether or not it's you know, good or bad. And then fun is... It comes down to each person. Let me look at chat for a second. I feel these nerfs are making Caustic how he was supposed to be designed and not what we want him to be, and I think everyone has trouble accepting that. He was designed to be a semi-weaker defensive legend who has advantages in his own way, like in Season 3. That's the thing, is the way they're designing him has changed so much. That's the thing. I don't know if it has to be with us accepting something or not, or the way they want it or not. They don't know what they want him to be. That's the problem. So I don't know. I just think Caustic became too easy and started annoying way too many people, and that was his biggest problem. It was better when not as many people played him, and he was annoying sparingly. Like, when I would annoy people playing him back in the day, yeah, they'd get annoyed, but it was like, okay, that guy's a sweat on Caustic. You don't see that all the time. Now you just see it all the time. It's not as special anymore. You know, everyone's just playing him. Actually, the other night, Forcing, I was playing in pubs, and I got put onto a team with two, like a Wraith and a Horizon that were both 4K 20 bombs. And we just destroyed the lobby and won, and they were both just like, I've never seen, because I picked Rampart because I had a challenge, or a challenge to do with her. And they were like, I've never seen a Rampart with a 20 bomb badge. And I was like, yeah, that doesn't happen a lot. And we just absolutely slaughtered the entire lobby. So I thought that was kind of funny. What makes a good legend is a legend that is fair, as well as taking skill to play while not being too oppressive. If you get outplayed, you get outplayed by their skill and not abilities. Yeah, dude, that was why, like, with Pathfinder, I was okay with them making his cooldown a bit longer than 15 seconds, but I thought 20 or 25 seconds was fine. They went a little bit overboard. You know, they were a bit heavy-handed with it when they did it, and even the change they did now, where if you slide when you land, you know, I don't think that was a good change for Pathfinder. And then again, you know, Pathfinder having low profile for forever now, that was also a terrible change in my opinion. So I am glad that they're removing that, because they've been needing to do it, and I'm excited to see more Pathfinders again in the game, because I don't mind fighting a Pathfinder. I can hear him grapple. I know where he landed. If they do a really good grapple, then I know that they at least deserved to do it. So I don't know. I don't think that Pathfinder was super bad. And Wraith I never even cared about Wraith, dude. Sure, she had a small hitbox. I didn't like that she Naruto ran. I'm glad, actually, that they removed that. They did not need to increase her hitbox size. That was just... She already has low profile. They didn't need to increase her hitbox size. Especially looking at the fact that Horizon is still as good as she is, and they haven't addressed her at all. Like, that just blows my mind. I don't know. If you get killed by a Jibby in a 1v1, it's because it's a Jibby. Yeah, he's got that arm shield. Like, if you're both equally equipped and both really good at aiming, like, the Jibby will probably win because he's got 50 extra more health. That actually becomes even more health, because if you shoot him for 45 and his gun shield has 5 health left, and then you shoot him for 45 again, 40 damage is just wasted. That did nothing. It just blew up his shield, and then that whole time he's shooting you. So instead of 40 or 50 damage, it actually comes out to being like 40 extra on top of that. So it's almost like 100 extra health, depending on what you're shooting him with, you know? Like, if I Kraber a Jibby and his arm shield had 5 health, well, 140 damage just went nowhere. I think Apex has a problem with reactive legends being able to counter proactive legends, which they should, but it shouldn't be easy. I want Horizon to be good, but she just assembles proactive legends too easily, or like old Pathfinder grappling over everything. Pathfinder's grapple, I don't think, was ever as oppressive as Horizon's Q, personally, because, you know, when he landed, he didn't just get free movement. You could hear him landing. You can hear Pathfinder pretty loudly when he grapples. The audio on that is way better than the little whooshing sound you get from Horizon's Q. And he's way bigger, so it was a lot easier to hit him. That's why, I don't know, I just don't like Horizon. Maybe I'm just biased in that way. Yeah, I never really cared about her hitbox either, Bulldogs, if I'm being honest. But, you know, I guess Wraith was just queen for too long. They needed to nerf her, I guess. I don't know. But let's see. What are the things that will lead to the death of Apex? This is an easy and a hard question to answer, right? So, the inattentiveness of Respawn will eventually lead to the death of Apex. But as of right now, the game's booming, you know? Every season they get more money, and every season more people play the game. So at some point, it's kind of like, you know, why If it ain't broke, don't fix it. What's the point of trying to change things if it's obviously working in their eyes, right? Like, they're making more money and more people are playing, so clearly it can't be too bad, you know? That's the way they see it. So I don't know, man. I definitely, personally, I think that no custom servers, like custom games, not ever adding those will be a problem at some point. Because I would love that so much. You know, I've talked about that a good amount. I would love custom servers to be added into Apex. It would be so much fun to be able to make custom lobbies and play with the Thicc Gang. And, you know, when I die, whenever you guys kill me, commentate the rest of the game. And be able to choose what legends can and can't be played. You know, being able to choose what guns can and can't spawn. That stuff would be so much fun to do. And it would be really engaging with the community, and it would just be awesome, and I'd love it. They don't have, you know, skins in the game for teams or for players or content creators like they did in PUBG. And I think like they have in Fortnite, if I'm not mistaken. I don't really know Fortnite that well, so I don't want to, you know, I might be wrong on that. But Apex is just, the store is garbage. Outside of events, which even the events, if they miss on the skins there and you don't like what the skins look like in the event, well, that's it. The alternate skins recently have all just been alternate skins that have come through. I can't remember the last time they put an alternate skin through that was a new skin. I can't. They're always just the same ones that have been in there already. And they're never even the good ones either. Like, put the oldest ones in there. Why are you putting ones that came through a couple months ago back through, you know? That doesn't make sense to me. The ranked situation? Oh my, I can't even believe how I don't even know how I didn't start with this. Ranked is a shit show. You literally have a guy who is known in the community for how much and how hard he cheats. That is just unacceptable. He can't be stopped. He's literally cheating so much. But every time he gets banned, he just makes a new account. There are literally bronze players running around right now in pred lobbies, duo queued with other cheaters, and they're somehow getting into these lobbies and killing people over and over. You know, ruining other people's games, you know, making them lose RP. And the moment they get banned, they just make a new account and do it again. I don't even get that. Like, I don't know, you know, networking or computer stuff like that, so I can't speak on it a lot. But, like, how is a dude getting into the game on a fresh account and going into pred lobbies immediately? It breaks so many rules of the game that are set in place. Like, you know, plat lobbies. Once you hit plat, you got to be within a tier above and below if you want to group up with people. Stuff like that. How? How is that happening? I don't get it. And it's to the point where he's like stream sniping pro players and content creators just to be an asshole. And it's kind of insane that it's being allowed to happen. You know, and ranked I think got better minus the cheaters. And the meta being terrible. I think the way it works now where diamond players go against other diamond players so that the push from diamond to masters shows how good you are against other diamonds. Like, if you hit masters, you're better than the majority of diamond players. But if you hit masters, if you want to hit pred, you have to be as good or better than the pred players. And it used to be like the moment you hit diamond 4, you were just going against pros and preds. So, like, I'm okay with that in some ways, right? But I understand how a lot of people weren't. And it opened up a lot more, you know, the games feel more like they should. Like, when I'm in a bronze-silver lobby, I feel that they're actually bronze-silver players. When I'm going against gold players, I know what to expect. Plat players, diamond players, like, they all play a certain way, and you can feel it. And I think that that's a really good change, and that's helping out Apex. Another thing that's killing Apex is, like, the lack of tournaments that matter in a grand scale of, like, huge payouts. I feel like there's always some tournament happening with Apex, but, like, the payouts aren't really that impressive compared to Fortnite or other games that are kind of at the same caliber as Apex. Like, Apex has one of the best base games of any BR that's ever been made. And I feel like they're just not capitalizing on that well. You know, they're not doing enough with the community to make the game kind of get to that upper level of fun and engagement. They're kind of just missing out on that. And it's kind of, you know, it's kind of unfortunate. Because I really think that with small tweaks, man, Apex... Like, sometimes, man, I do feel like maybe I was like, did I waste my time grinding the hell out of Apex and trying to be an Apex content creator? Because I feel like the game is just neglected compared to other games that I could have potentially chosen to grind and become really good at. But also I can't help it because I love Apex so much and how it plays. It's more fun to me than any other game I've played in the same, you know, the vein of FPS shooters. But I don't know. I think there's a lot they could do. Because one thing, like, I don't like, you know, I don't like coming at something with only problems and no solutions. So I try to always have a solution to something if I'm going to bring up a problem. Because if you're bringing up problems with no solution, you're just talking about problems. You're not doing anything to help. So a lot of the things that I have problems with, I try to have a solution for. And I think, and I don't know why some of them haven't been solved yet. I don't really get it. Like the custom server thing, the bad servers, the cheaters. Like, I can't personally fix cheaters, but like, get a better anti-cheat system, you know? Maybe hire more people to ban cheaters or fix this issue than one dude on Twitter, you know? And no disrespect to Hideouts, man. I know he's busting his ass banning people all the time, but why is he the only guy? The cheaters literally just wait till he's sleeping, and then they start cheating their ass off. So they get like 8 hours of free cheating, you know, and they don't have to, that's it. They're just cheating for forever. Dude, there's so many of these on me. I'm about to die, bro. I don't know if Apex is really getting worse in some ways. Because it is such a good game, you know? Dude, I'm literally gonna die because of this. This is so rough. It literally just hit me with you know what? GG, Blood Fury Ambusher. You beat my ass. I was fucking getting off a bandage, and he hit me with a ranged attack, and it canceled it. It's sick. But yeah, sorry about that. I don't know, man. There's just so much they could do, and they just haven't. I Loot Games did an interview with Toofy, and to be honest, he loves the game. Toofy cares about Apex, and he says his goal of cheating isn't just to do it for no reason, but to do it to make a radical change within Apex and how they go about cheating. And that I can respect Toofy on. I mean, you just gotta be aware of that, because, yeah, that sounds like this honorable thing, but it's not. You know? Don't forget, at the end of the day, he's a fucking asshole for ruining... He's like the only one doing it at the level he's doing it. You know, if he found all these back doors, do you know it would be better than cheating and ruining games of people? It would be packaging up everything he found without cheating and sending it into Respawn so they could fix it. You know, I did that too. Like, I cheated in Escape from Tarkov like 3 years ago. And that was my outlook. I was like, I can't believe I'm not banned. And the only reason I started in my head at the time was because there were a bunch of cheaters in that game. So I did it to prove a point, I guess. I changed my name to Please God Ban Me. And I would just run around servers headshotting people. I wasn't even looting. I was just killing people. And I never got banned. And I was just like, this is a joke, man. How am I speed hacking around headshotting people and I'm not getting banned? And I'm not going to sit here and pretend like it was some fucking moral thing I did. It was scumbaggy, and it was like, it was fucking wrong. And I was an asshole to do it. I'm not going to pretend like I wasn't, dude. But, like, that is not a good reason. That's not a good reason. There's a lot of other things you can do. Like, if he loves the game, why is he single-handedly... if you were cheating and you only cheated against other cheaters, you know, which would already be hard enough to do anyway, but he doesn't. He just murks people. Like, I've been killed by him I can't tell you how many times. So I don't have any love for this dude, man. I don't care how respectable something he says sounds. Like, that's... He could also just be saving face. You know? Like, there's so many things you could do other than being the problem. Again, that's not a solution. It's just like what I said a second ago. It's not a solution. So, I don't know, man. You know, it's just frustrating. It really is. It's just frustrating that, like, he's making so many accounts. He's like one of the only people I've heard of who's doing it at the caliber he's doing it, yet he's saying he's trying to help Apex. He's making people quit in droves and stop playing in droves and saying this game sucks. So how is he helping the game? Like, I don't really see that personally. It just seems to me like somebody's trying to save face because they fucking became infamous within a community. Like, he's never going to be accepted in the community. Did he think by saying that everyone would be like, oh, yeah, that makes sense, dude? No. That's the thing. This game always feels like that, man. Like, this game literally always feels like I'm waiting and hoping the next part, like, it's gonna be good later. And I'm tired of feeling like that with Apex, dude. I don't even care anymore. I don't even care. Like, I'm happy the Mastiff's getting nerfed, but also there's a part of me that's like, why did it take this long for them to nerf the Mastiff? Like, there's literally no reason that it should have taken this long. Does that make sense? I think that makes perfect sense. I don't want to have... let's see. Apex is improving, just not the rate a Battle Royale needs to keep its head above water. They could get away with Titanfall 2 because that was a critically underrated masterpiece and they knew these people would play their game, but Apex isn't a game. People have to wait around to change. Dude, please stop hitting me with this shit, bro. I'm just trying to talk to my stream into a podcast, and these are the most annoying mobs I've ever fought in a video game. I don't know, dude. It's just unacceptable to me in this day and age to be able to run around lagging out servers and stuff like that, like what he's doing, and shooting 10 scout shots at once. Like, there's no excuse for that to be able to happen, in my opinion. In 2021, like, we have to have gotten to a point where we can stop stuff like that. And the hacking problem has only gotten worse. It hasn't ever gotten better. And the cheats they are getting are more... Like, I literally saw a speed hacker this season, dude. Like, how does that even happen? It just makes no sense to me. I can't get over that. But yeah, I mean, a lot of that stuff, just the inaction of the devs, like, even without a no crunch policy, that has nothing to do with anything, actually. They just don't have a set... They don't have a set goal in mind. That's the biggest problem. They don't have a set goal of what they want to accomplish and get it done. There's all these problems that have been in the game for forever now, and they're not doing anything about it, and it makes no sense to me. Some stuff, it's just unacceptable. For 2 years the game's been out, and some of the problems are just unacceptable. Because there's so much that could potentially lead, like, any game can die for a lot of different reasons. And a lot of games can be successful for a long time for a lot of different reasons. And the inaction of the devs is a big part of what would happen with Apex. At least that's what I think. Because, you know, it's just a lot of sitting around waiting. Honestly, that's like one of the best things I've heard. you know? And that's how I feel about the game. You just feel like you're sitting around waiting for it to get better, and it just doesn't. The store. Why is the store still so bad? You know? Why are things so expensive in the store? But it's not even good stuff. Heirlooms come out at an extremely low rate. They should already have an heirloom for every legend. You can't tell me that that's not the case. Even if they made it a bit cheaper, whatever. Pump out more heirlooms. Get heirlooms for every legend. Then start getting reskins for the heirlooms. Then start getting more heirlooms for legends. Like, they literally, the way the heirlooms are designed, it looks like you have multiple heirlooms to choose from. But you only have one, if you have one at all, for a legend. So I'm assuming someday down the line, they want to have multiple heirlooms for a legend. But what are they going to do? Put out a second heirloom for Wraith before they've given an heirloom to Fuse? How are they going to do that? They need to give every legend an heirloom before they do that. So they need to speed that up. They need to speed that process up. It's kind of, you know, it doesn't make sense to me that it's taken this long for them to do a lot of stuff. Even like the gold weapons, dude, that's such a quick change that they just put out. From the beginning of Apex, the gold weapons have had 1 to 2 sights on them, or digis, or like a sniper scope, depending on what it is. And people have been saying for forever, hey, make this, you know, make this like better. Make this, let me take the sights off the gun. It won't do anything for the power of the weapon. It just lets me put, because sights are preferential, 100%. Like, straight up. So, I don't understand that at all. That they're not, you know, that it took them this long to do something like that. It's such a small quality of life change. It took this long? It's not in good looks, man. Yeah, the engine that Apex runs on is terrible. I've seen this happen in another game when I used to play DayZ Standalone. The engine is bad. And, you know, it just stays that way because it's the engine. Like, why did you even start the game on a bad engine? Like, make a new engine, implement it, or make another game that has a better engine. People will be happy with that in the long run. Cam asked, and we'll go to the next question because this is getting depressing and we've been talking about it for too long. Why is Bangalore the hottest legend? Why is Apex why is Bangalore the hottest legend in Apex? Well, that's a good question. Again, that's just kind of like, you know, Cam, that's kind of like what makes a fun legend. You know, it's just subjective. That's a subjective question. I don't know. I personally never really thought that Bangalore was that attractive. Just opinion. It's my opinion. Let's see. Lips. This is a good question, actually. That was more of a joke question. But this question is, what can you do if you're not improving on Apex? Well, if you're not improving in anything in life that you're putting time and effort into, you have to evaluate a few things. One, are you actually putting a lot of time and effort into, you know, that game or that thing? But if you're not improving, you need to break down what you're doing wrong. In anything in life. But in Apex specifically, you know, if your aim is not good, why? Is your movement not good, why? Look up some guides. Look up some good players and try to emulate what they're doing, because clearly what they're doing is successful. So if you do what they do, then you'll at least be doing something that's successful, you know? But again, I think that's an important question, because it really, that goes to more of just life as not just Apex. That can bleed into anything in life. You know, if your aim isn't good, man, you can get an aim trainer. If you're on controller, maybe look up some different settings if your settings aren't that good. You know, use settings of popular people on controller. I do think, while that's not as true on mouse and keyboard, I think that holds more true on console and controller, because there is a lot less preferential, you know, settings on controller than there are on mouse and keyboard. And sensitivity on mouse and keyboard has to do with a lot of stuff, whereas on controller it's not as much stuff. You know, maybe look at the legend you're playing. If you're not as great of a player and you're using a really hard to play legend, maybe that's tying in with your, you know, inadequacies of playing. You know, aim-wise, your aim could be... Your aim, that's a lot of different reasons as to what could happen potentially with your aim. I don't know, because legend tying in, you know, I've told a lot of people when they first start playing, like, you don't really want to play Caustic. Back in the day, I would say that all the time, because there were people who were like, I just love Caustic. It's like, okay, well, if you want to improve, play a different legend first. Learn the mechanics of the game. Learn what guns are good. If you're not improving, I personally think that you're, like, it's not that you're not trying hard enough, but you're not trying correctly. You're not putting time and effort into the correct thing. Like, you have to look into a lot of different things in anything you do. You know, things are very complex. It's not, you know, oh, I'm going to change my sensitivity and get better. Like, that's not how it works. You have to put time and effort in. And that's why I think aim trainers are so good, because they specifically pinpoint you personally on where you need to fix something. If you aren't good at... People who are good at the game self-analyze well. And that's important, is being able to self-analyze yourself and figure out what you're doing wrong. That's really important. And I think that, again, there's guides. We live in an age where there's guides on the internet. There's really no information that is sealed. Like, you can get any information on anything, learn how to do well on anything. It's just all right there in front of you. Like, you can't just sit back and be like, well, that's it, I guess I'm not getting better. Like, you have to figure out what you're doing wrong, and then you have to fix it. I think that's it, though. You gotta you have to self-analyze. Like, top players all analyze what they did wrong in a situation, and then go from there. So if you're having trouble with something specific, work on that specific thing. Don't worry about anything else until you get better at that specific thing. Because, you know, movement doesn't matter if you can't hit anything. You know? You could be dancing and moving all around in front of something. But if you're not doing anything, if you're not hitting them, it doesn't matter. They're just going to kill you. So, I don't know. You definitely need to look into what you're specifically doing wrong and fix that. Satan actually asked, Apex is a stressful game. How to reduce that and also not take dying / doing bad personally? Whew. That's a doozy. This is something that I'm even working on, but you have to figure out what you can and can't control. And this is like I'm preaching, like I'm like, it's a do as I say, not as I do situation, because I hold myself accountable for stuff a lot that I have no control over, and it's definitely not good to do that. But to just reduce the stress, like, think of why you're playing, you know? A lot of my stress with Apex stems from the fact that I'm a content creator around it. I'm trying to, you know, make it my job and, like, a full-time job with streaming. So streaming on top of Apex itself will cause stress for me personally. That's why I'll feel that certain way. But if you're just playing the game to have fun and you're getting stressed, like, there's so many games to play. Like, go play something to unwind. And just don't stress yourself about it too much. If you're stressed because you're not playing well to your standards that you want to be playing as and you want to get better, you know, the same thing I just talked about. You got to figure out what you need to do to fix. You know, there's a lot of stuff you can do in that kind of situation. But yeah, like, not taking dying / doing bad personally, some of that comes down to you understanding the things you can and can't control. You know, I don't get upset anymore about pubs because of skill-based matchmaking. I just don't play them. You know, getting a high... I literally have an easier time getting a high kill, high damage game in diamond lobbies than I do in pubs. So, is that a problem with how I play? Maybe. Is it a problem with skill-based matchmaking? Maybe. I don't know. All I can do is I can personally try to get better, and that's it. Like, if... And I have obviously am not the best at taking my own advice in this situation because I get mad all the time when skill-based matchmaking absolutely destroys me. And there's only so much you can do about it. You know? That's why I like playing with my friends on alt accounts, helping them level up, stuff like that. Or rank up. Because it just gives me a feeling of like, I am actually a good player in this game. You know, I spent a lot of time getting better. And it feels good sometimes to just win and destroy lobbies because I put so much time and effort into the game. So yeah, I think that, you know, that's something you can do. Just don't worry about the game as much. Depending on what you're doing, you know, if you're trying to improve and get better, just do that. Like, focus on doing that. Let's see. Marinated actually asked, how could teammates play effectively around a Caustic? I'm not gonna skip this, but I'm not gonna go in depth because I've talked about this so much. You don't really need to anymore because of the changes with him. But, like, knowing where to rotate or where not to rotate is important when you're playing with a Caustic on your team because you don't want to set yourself up for failure. You want to set yourself up to win. So if you're running out into an area that you're just going to get destroyed in, it's not really, you know, it's not really smart to do that. You definitely want to, you know, always set yourself up for success. So don't run out into the middle of the open. You know, run to places where there's cover and buildings. I say that all the time when I'm pushing with people that I'm not comfortable playing with. I always have to remind them, like, guys, we can't just run out into the middle of the open. So remember that. If you're playing with Caustic, you know, call out good places for them to use their trap. Try to use your ult effectively in tandem with Caustic. Stuff like that. That's stuff that you can do. But mainly the big thing, I think, is like not running out into the open and trying to take fights you shouldn't take. That's the biggest thing, I would say. All right, we have the last question here. Best / strongest overall weapon category by ammo type. That's very difficult to answer, to be honest. That was from H Dragons. The strongest overall weapon category. I don't even know, man. Maybe heavy. Like, if you asked me, like, if you could only use a weapon category and you had to win with it, like, shotguns are good, or they, like, with the Mastiff being broken, but then your only choices would be Eva, Mastiff, and Mozambique. So it wouldn't necessarily be that strong. I would probably say heavy or light, because in both of those categories you have short and long range weaponry, and any other category is more of just one or the other. And, you know, maybe energy, but even then with energy, it's so you have to have a turbocharger, and then even then the long range isn't that great. Sniper rifles are just only long range for the most part. You know, you wouldn't really want to have a sentinel and a triple take fighting a, you know, pred squad pushing you. Would not be the best thing to happen to you. So I would say it would be a mix between light or heavy. If I was going to answer that, that's what I would say, because having one or the other, like any of those, you have long range and short range weapons. That's pretty important. So yeah, I think that's about it for all the questions we have. I had fun doing this. Do you guys in chat have anything to answer or to ask?